Hello and welcome to Dugout Talk. I am Brad Davis, and today we will be discussing sports memorabilia with the leader in sports memorabilia, Brandon Steiner of Steiner Sports. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of, I'm sure, a very busy schedule to speak with us for a few minutes.
Not a problem. Not a problem. My pleasure.
Yeah, well, actually, I met you a few years ago down at Last Licks during a Reggie Jackson signing, and you were very welcoming and spent some time to talk. So I appreciate it very much.
Well, you're welcome. My pleasure.
So I just have a few questions I want to ask you.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just a little distracted. I'm with you now.
No, don't worry, no problem.
So, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Now you're quite the businessman. You can take on pretty much any arena. Why did you choose to go with sports memorabilia as
It's a good question. When I think about back 25 years ago when we started Steiner Sports, it really just came from I was trying to do a sports bar. And you see in the book, you got to have balls. In the middle of the book, I talk about really probably one of my a little bit of adversity and a little bit of failures. I couldn't raise the money to open up the restaurant and sports bar that I wanted to. Back then, the sports bars were just starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was involved with one of the first few sports bars that really opened up in this country. So I was right on top of the theme. And I just felt like, I didn't really have much else to fall back on, to be honest with you. I was going to do a little restaurant consulting. And I started Steiner with a few, ball player contacts I had. And
Sure.
I was just committed to trying to get my company started. I wasn't really sure what direction it was going to take. And everything just took a bunch of different twists and turns.
Yeah. Now, was there like a particular piece of memorabilia that you had growing up with or whatever to turn you into that sports memorabilia business? Or?
Well, I always knew the power of the autographs was great, and I always thought it was cool meeting the players. But frankly, it was probably in 1975 when I was up at Fenway, and I'd gone to a game by myself. I talked my mom into letting me go to a game. So I went to the game. I sat a few rows over the dugout, the Yankee dugout, and I was screaming. I love Thurman Munson. I screamed for 2 straight hours.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get him to come over and give me an autograph. And finally, I went back to the hotel. I went in the elevator, and this arm all of a sudden came through the elevator to hold the door open and into the elevator, walked Thurman Munson. And he just got right in my face. He's like, "What are you screaming at me for? What do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, my God." And I said, "Well, I just wanted your autograph." And he signed my program, and I just realized that there's just nothing better than meeting a player, especially one that you cherish, and getting an autograph. So it definitely had a long-lasting effect on me.
Yeah.
And when I think about what I do at Steiner, I always think about that, that 12, 13-year-old kid, and the kind of effect every time I can bring a player out, put a player out there where they're signing autographs or meeting kids and meeting players, how powerful that could be.
Yeah, especially meeting them out of their element, like in an elevator. I met Reggie, actually, the final season at Yankee Stadium, walking to the players' parking lot while we were pulling in to do a players' tour. And that was just such a really amazing experience to meet him just out of his element, kind of just as a normal person. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. Reggie's an amazing, multifaceted, can do it all kind of guy. So you met one of the great ones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I personally have been a Steiner Sports customer for some time. I get your daily emails on stuff like that. And what I've always thought, and I don't want you to give your secrets away or anything, but how do you come up with like the creative aspect of your memorabilia? For instance, like the pictures of Jeter diving to second base with dirt coming up with game-used dirt in there, like stuff like that, and it fascinates me.
I think where people get confused, and I never turn off the creative button. I never hit the off button as far as my creativity is concerned. I'm always thinking, and I think creativity and passion. People always say, and I don't think if you're ever up in the Steiner Sports offices, I don't think you would. There's one thing for sure you would see is passion. I mean, we're so passionate about what we do, but I think it starts with a commitment, and my commitment is coming up with the most creative, coolest things on the planet, and I never turn that off.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and the reality is I'm committed to it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but eventually, you break through and you find things that really are wow items or stuff that nobody would ever think of. The problem is, nobody's going to outthink me. So the answer to the question really just comes from being really diligent, not stopping, ever,
Yeah.
And being fearless. It's really what the book is all about. It's about why hold yourself back? Why create boundaries? Why not go all the way? Why not take things as far? Maybe some of the things I come up with are a little far-fetched, and some of them don't happen, but my goal is to come up with the biggest wow factor for as many fans, Yankee fans, and sports fans as I can. I want to extend the moments. I want to extend the memories, of the good stuff that happens in your life, and that's really what our company's trying to do.
Absolutely.
That's what Steiner's all about, and we're trying to do it in an affordable way. But sometimes things get a little crazy. But why not take that first time you went to a game with your dad, or when a famous home run got hit? Why not extend that out and fill your room, your man cave with all that stuff?
Yeah.
And enjoy it time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. I always look forward to see what you guys are kind of think up next to tie in with the memorabilia. It's awesome. It's awesome stuff. What direction do you feel that collecting memorabilia is heading in the future?
Well, I think collecting memorabilia is definitely taking its twists and turns. We know the vintage stuff, pre-1970 or pre-1980 is strong. I mean, people are just loving it, and it's vibrant. I think that gets a little confusing when you get into the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure how people feel about a lot of the players, and I think we need a little time to let that all kind of play out with some of the things that have happened. But collecting is strong. It's just changed, and what people collect is a little different. I mean, they're not collecting trading cards, for example, like they used to, and traditional, just typical autographs is a little bit flat. But people love game use. They love unusual, one-of-a-kind things. I think sports art is pretty solid. I think the stuff from the stadiums, which you created with the Yankees and a bunch of other teams, people really enjoy. So you go to a game and you get a base or you get a game-used ball actually in the actual game. I think people are enjoying that type of thing. And, I think people, most importantly, over the last few years and going into the future, I think people are thinking more positively about collecting.
Yep.
Because it's a little more organized. You're reading less about the frauds. And, companies like ourselves and a few others as well, that, have their authentication down. They what you're buying is real.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that's really a positive, and it's a real positive direction for the collectible industry.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have a game issued from you, a Jorge Posada 1998 World Series jersey, signed by Jorge, and obviously with your brand, it's no doubt that it's not the real thing.
Yep.
Now, with all that you've accomplished with Steiner Sports, what future goals do you have?
Well, I think my future goals aren't that much different than they have been. It's to continue to wow fans and bring them closer to the game, and try to do some things that that make some of the other stuff that happens in your life go by a little easier and smoother. Certainly, I have a lot of charity, and I want to take some of the influences of some of the teams and players that we've met over the course of the years and do some good work, do some of God's work, which is helping people and, getting behind some of these great players and really getting behind some of the work that they're doing, because a lot of times that can take us a lot further. So Derek Jeter with his Turn 2 Foundation, or helping a Mariano build a church, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I love that type of work, and if we use the collectibles and the meet and greets and some of the sports stuff in that direction, it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Now I just have some questions that fans have submitted to ask you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to young collectors starting out?
Collect what you love. Don't get crazy with price. You don't have to buy the most expensive stuff to start your collection. And, get as many things autographed as you can in person. There's nothing like getting an autograph, with a picture of you with the person or the celebrity. And, collect your favorite players. Don't collect based on what you think is going to go up in value.
Absolutely. Now, James Boris asks, who is your favorite role model, or who is your role model at the moment?
Well, I've always listened. I grew up and I love Clyde Frazier. Loved him. Love Roger Staubach. Love Phil Rizzuto. Love Yogi Berra. Certainly, these days, have grown a tremendous connection with Mark Messier. I think he's a great mentor, and he's just somebody that I've learned a lot from. You can't, after 15 years working with somebody like a Derek Jeter, not really, walk away having learned a lot. Just what you see there is what you get is, an unbelievable quality person that's probably even a better person and has his life organized as well as you see it on the field. And you see on the field it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, Mariano Rivera is another favorite. Eli Manning too is pretty special.
Yeah.
One of the more well put together. You know, all in all, he has his priorities right, plays the game the right way, and then also handles himself off the field with a lot of respect and dignity. And I've learned a lot from him too.
Yeah. I mean, I had the privilege of going on the field for the Giants-Bears preseason game, and Eli was nicest guy. One of the nicest I think I've ever met in professional sports.
Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, just so down to earth, like you don't feel like you're talking to an NFL superstar. It was quite an experience. And now Mary Maher asked, if there was one person in your life that influenced your success the most, who is that person?
Well, it's probably my mom. You know, the book, you know, You Gotta Have Balls, which, you know, I'm just grateful to be able to come out my second book this week. But certainly my mom was the biggest influence. I mean, she raised the three of us, and it wasn't always easy. It's had a tremendous influence. And there was also another person, Algie Jackson, who I worked in his kitchen for this underprivileged camp for kids. And he was like a father. He had a tremendous influence on my people skills and understanding people. He was the one who really taught me about the importance of understanding people and how they work, and how, you know, the most important thing is understanding what people want, not what you want.
Yeah. That is awesome. Now, that leads into the next question, and I'm sure I know the answer of who inspired you, but who inspired you to write your book? You Gotta Have Balls.
I think, you know, my mom did. You know, it's one of my mom's favorite lines is, you know, you got to have balls, which has nothing to do with, it's not a sports book, and the book is not a male-female thing. It's about being fearless. It's about being focused. It's about not being afraid and about going the distance. Go all the way. I mean, take it all the way. If you're going to do something, I mean, get into the deep end of the pool. You don't be afraid to paint your bedroom, you know, purple and lime green. You know, don't be afraid to walk backwards, you know, on a one-way street. I think that, you know, it's just, you know, find your identity, find out who you are, and be that. And I think that's something that my mother really strived, and that's what the book's all about.
Awesome. I definitely appreciate your time today. It's been a
pleasure.
Not
a problem.
Hopefully we'll meet again at another signing.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the hope of the book. I mean, the book's really, I mean, if you had a chance to read the book yet, have you read it yet or not yet?
I've read the first chapter.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, the book's a great story, so hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that with your you know, your fan base.
Absolutely. I know I have some pre-orders in my fan base, so. All right. Well, Brandon, I really appreciate it.
Okay, cool. Thanks
you.
For everything.
I hope everybody enjoyed this edition of Dugout Talk. Our guest, Brandon Steiner, and his new book, You Gotta Have Balls. Buy the book to find out how a kid from Brooklyn started from scratch, bought Yankee Stadium, and created a sports empire. You could buy the book at steinersports.com, amazon.com, keyword Brandon Steiner, barnesandnoble.com, keyword Brandon Steiner, and Barnes & Noble stores. If it's not stocked yet, ask your local store to start carrying it. You could also get it at yougottahaveballsbook.com and brandonsteinerblog.com. And that is it for this edition of Dugout Talk. Keep in contact with us on facebook.com/dugoutlegends and dugoutlegends.com.